The queen lived in a beautiful castle. She had a daughter whom she dreamed of. The child had black hair and snow-white skin. Therefore, they named her Snow White. The queen soon died. The king did not grieve for a long time. A year later, he brought a new queen to the palace. She was beautiful but angry. The woman brought a magic mirror with her. Every day she admired her reflection in him and asked him the same question: who is the most beautiful in the world? The mirror has always told only the truth. Therefore, it honestly praised the beauty of the queen, and the woman beamed with happiness. Snow White grew, and every year her beauty blossomed brighter. And now, once again, speaking to the mirror, the queen heard in response that now she is not the most beautiful in the world, but Snow White. The queen was not going to endure this in her own palace. She ordered her faithful servant to lead the princess into an impenetrable thicket and kill. But the servant could not, even for the sake of the queen, kill the sweet girl. He brought the princess into a dark forest and let her go. And he himself returned to the castle and told the queen that he had followed her order. For a long time, the princess wandered through the forest. Along the way she was helped by all kinds of forest inhabitants. Snow White was very kind to them, and therefore they became strong friends. In the evening, the princess accidentally stumbled upon a small house. She went into it and saw that there was no one in the house. The table was set for 7 people, and there were 7 cots in the bedroom. And everything in this house was very small. Therefore, Snow White realized that 7 little people live here. After a long and difficult journey, she lay down on one of the beds and fell fast asleep. The 7 dwarfs returned home late at night. They were greatly surprised by the appearance of an unexpected guest. Sleeping Snow White was so charming that the dwarves decided to let her sleep, and did not wake her. Morning has come. Snow White woke up, saw the 7 dwarfs, and was scared. But they were affectionate with her, and the girl told about her misfortune. They immediately liked Snow White, and the dwarfs invited her to stay with them. Moreover, she agreed to take care of the house, cooking, washing and cleaning. Every morning the gnomes went to the mountains to mine gold and precious stones and returned late at night. Leaving for work, they warned Snow White to be afraid of the evil stepmother and not open the door to strangers. At this time, the queen, as usual, went to the secret room to talk to the magic mirror. But the mirror suddenly said that she was not the most beautiful in the world, but Snow White. That the princess is still alive, and lives with the gnomes in the house. The queen became very angry, and decided to deal with Snow White herself. She went to a secret room, and cooked a poisonous venomous apple there. It was very beautiful on the outside, but if someone ate even a piece, he would certainly die. When the apple was ready, the queen changed into an old merchant, and came to the house of the dwarfs. Seeing the sweet old woman, Snow White felt sorry for her. She did not suspect anything, and left the house. The old woman treated the girl to a ripe apple and said that if she eats this apple, she will remain young and beautiful forever. Snow White believed her, and as soon as she bit the apple, she fell down dead and stopped breathing. The contented queen went to the palace. In the evening, the dwarves returned from work and saw Snow White lying on the ground. She was not breathing. They sobbed so loudly and lamented that their cry was heard by the handsome prince, who was hunting in the forest nearby. It became interesting to him what kind of howl arose that scared away all the animals. And when the prince found the house of the dwarfs, he saw Snow White. She was so beautiful that the young prince immediately fell in love with her. He persuaded the dwarves to take her with him to the castle, because there he has doctors who can cure Snow White. The dwarfs allowed it. Then the prince ordered his servants to carry the princess on their shoulders. And when they were carrying her, it happened that the servants stumbled over some bush, and from the concussion a piece of a poisonous apple fell out of Snow White's mouth, and she woke up. Seeing the young prince, the girl also fell in love with him and agreed to marry him. They also invited their wicked stepmother to the wedding. Out of anger that Snow White is still alive, and that now a long and happy life awaits her, the queen broke the magic mirror and never looked at it again. Once upon a time there was a prince in a distant land. It's time for him to get married. The king wanted his son to marry a real princess. The queen wished her son not just the daughter of the king and queen, but that she be gentle, intelligent, and graceful. And he himself wanted to follow the dictates of his heart. The prince went in search of the bride. After a few days of travel, he reached the nearest kingdom. The local king liked the polite and handsome prince, and he took him to his daughter. The princess was lovely. But after talking to her, the prince realized that she was very stupid, and there was nothing to even talk about with her. He apologized, said goodbye, and continued on his way. In the next kingdom, the king and queen were fascinated by the young prince and immediately invited him to meet their daughter. They took him to the dining room where the princess was dining. The young man greeted, but the girl did not even look at him. She was very passionate about her dinner. The prince thought the princess didn't care about him. Saying goodbye, he left this kingdom too. The prince traveled all over the world to find his beloved. After much trying, he lost all hope of finding a suitable bride. The king and queen were very concerned about this. Still, they were glad their son hadn't married the wrong girl. One night, a violent storm began. It rained like a bucket, lightning flashed and thunder rumbled. The prince could not sleep, watching the flashes of lightning and continuing to dream of his princess. Suddenly, there was a knock at the door. When the prince opened, a young girl was standing on the threshold. She was shaking violently as she was soaked all over in the rain. The poor girl was alone in the midst of all this raging bad weather, but even in the rain she seemed very sweet. She said that she was lost in the woods and asked to warm up inside the house. The prince took pity on the poor girl and let her into the house. He led her into the living room and sat her in front of the fireplace. The girl said that she is a princess from a distant kingdom. They were attacked and her parents sent her out of the castle with 2 soldiers. But during the storm, they were lost and the princess was left alone. It was hard for the queen to believe this, but she could not kick the girl out in such weather. When the prince entered the living room, she was already dressed in a dry and clean dress that the queen had given. She looked dazzling now. The prince could not believe his eyes. He fell in love. But at the behest of his father, he could not marry a girl if she is not a real princess. The queen realized that the prince had fallen in love. She reassured him and said that she knew how to find out if their guest was telling the truth or not. The queen went to the guest room, prepared for the young girl, and placed a small dry pea under her mattress. And on top, she ordered to put 6 more mattresses. Soon the girl went to sleep in her room. The next morning, everyone eagerly awaited the awakening of the princess. And when she woke up, the queen asked how she slept that night. The girl replied that she was very grateful for the night, and that she would sleep much worse outside in the rain. Despite this, she slept very badly and did not get enough sleep. And now her back hurts, as if she was sleeping on a stone. This was the answer the queen had been waiting for. She knew that only a princess could feel the pea hidden under the 7 mattresses. Hearing this and learning that the girl was a real princess, the prince told the king that he wanted to marry her. The king and queen happily blessed the marriage of their son and princess. The prince asked the girl to stay in the palace until the war in her kingdom was over. And he himself sent his troops to help save her country. They soon got married and lived happily ever after.